Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Unfiltered commentary. And that's your truth, the real truth. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your support. Welcome back from timcast.com. This is an extremely well-written article. You see there, it's one of the reporters for Timcast. His name is Robert Wood. If you go to timcast.com website, leave a message for Robert Wood because this is an amazingly well-written piece. Let's get to it because it's long and I don't like the video too long. The Great American Witch Hunt. Woke McCarthyism in the trial by media. Yeah, McCarthyism. There's very few people around now that were adults in the early 50s. Very few. I was born in 56, so even if I was around, I was a small child. McCarthyism is what's going on now, and you'll see in the article. While today's crop of blue-check journalists may see themselves as inheritors of Edwin R. Murrow's legacy, Edwin R. Murrow, of course, the one that went against McCarthy. In fact, my saying at the end of all my videos that says goodbye and good luck, Edwin R. Murrow always said, that's where I got it from, Edwin R. Murrow always said at the end of his broadcast, good night and good luck. Be more akin to Joseph McCarthy and his unverified, politically motivated allegations. Yeah, Russian collusion comes to mind. Senator Joseph McCarthy is frequently portrayed and invoked as a cartoon villain of sorts. His fanaticism in rooting out perceived communists from 1950 to 54 was a fabled pursuit denounced as quixotic and ultimately detrimental. Allegories to past inquisitions have been made in popular works such as the 1692-93 Salem witch trials, The Crucible, that's a pretty good movie actually, and Inherit the Wind, Scopes monkey trial of 1925, that's also a good movie. The Salem witch trials in particular were an example of people losing their lives due to accusations of being something they were not. Using the tools of the modern age, today's politicians and media figures have reinvented the tactics bequeathed to them by a 1950s senator from Wisconsin. The definition of McCarthyism in the Merriam-Webster Online Dictionary is a mid-20th century political attitude characterized chiefly by opposition to elements held to be subversive and by the use of tactics involving personal attacks on individuals by means of widely publicized, indiscriminate allegations, especially on the basis of unsubstantiated charges. That describes the new Progressive Democrat Party. McCarthy would frequently make claims without evidence that were entirely based upon hearsay and hysteria. Everyone from U.S. military personnel, General Zwick, who was told later he was unfit to wear the uniform by the senator, to CBS journalist Edwin R. Murrow, were accused of harboring communist sympathies. But while that would later be proven after the end of the Cold War that some of the individuals, such as Julius Rosenberg, were in fact committing espionage for the Soviet Union, McCarthy regularly flung invectives and accusations without any evidence. Adam Schiff comes to mind when he weighs the envelope in his hand. I have proof in my hand of Russian collusion with Donald Trump. It was a lie. Of course, he's still there. There's no repercussions. When Edwin R. Murrow confronted McCarthy with the senator's own contradictory statements, McCarthy lashed out by accusing Murrow of being a Soviet agent. McCarthyism would soon end up fizzling out due to the fallout from the Army McCarthy hearings. And there's a lot of videos on YouTube of the actual hearings if you want to see them. His interview with Edwin R. Murrow and then President Eisenhower behind-the-scenes maneuvers to limit McCarthy's influence. Merriam-Webster's definition of McCarthyism lists a second definition. Broadly, defamation of character or reputation through such tactics. Over the past decade, it has become fashionable to accuse individuals, both public figures and private citizens, of being white supremacists. These claims are frequently made without any evidence and sometimes with much proof to the contrary. Nick Sandman's smearing by CNN stands out an example of this phenomenon. The same treatment materialized for Kyle Rittenhouse. You don't have to be white to be labeled a white supremacist. Larry Elder was accused of being the black face of white supremacy. These people are nuts. But here's the thing. They're in charge. They're in charge. They're in control of the Oval Office right now. Even more incredulously, Virginia Lieutenant Governor-elect Winsome Sears, who is black, for those of you who don't know, was described by MSNBC guest Michael Eric Dyson, that piece of garbage. What a piece of human garbage he is. And I'm being kind, actually. As follows. There is a black mouth moving, but a white idea running on the runway of the tongue of a figure who justifies and legitimates the white supremacist practices. He's talking about the new black lieutenant governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. And by the way, that piece of garbage, Michael Dyson, is also black. Many of these accusations make very little sense. Ben Shapiro, a devout practitioner of the Jewish faith, he's Orthodox Jew. We all know Ben from the Daily Wire, was recently assailed for not only being a white supremacist, but also a Nazi and a fascist. Whatever his work department, Ben's wife is from Morocco. It is worth noting that anti-Semitism is a core belief of Nazism and white supremacist groups such as the KKK. While Shapiro has been an advert defender of free speech and individual rights, fascism, like communism, is a philosophy that does not believe in individual rights. It's always the group. It's always the collective. Individuals don't count. A common thread unifying fascism and communism, the ideology pushed by American wokesters, is collectivism and utter hatred of individuals who do not conform to the group. I put in the group. The old Japanese saying, translated as, the nail that sticks out gets hammered down, appears to be the collectivist and cancel culture's enthusiasts' golden rule. It's hard to put your life back together after being crushed by a media steamroller. Richard Jewell, and I don't remember him, he was the one that got the bomb at the Olympics in Atlanta. He was falsely accused of putting the bomb there, and it ruined his life, and he died young. The hero was falsely accused of 1996 Atlanta bombing, was ultimately exonerated, but not without stress, and most likely contributed to his death at 44. The media's failure to take responsibility for inflaming racial tensions has almost always led to retaliatory actions. Just as McCarthy accused government institutions of harboring communists, resulting in the loss of innocent people's livelihoods, modern media personalities and social media users have been baselessly accusing others of various isms. The 2016 Dallas police shootings, for instance, were committed by Michael Xavier Johnson with the goal of killing police officers in response to the highly publicized police shootings of African Americans at the time. The Dallas police chief stated that the subject wanted to kill white people, especially white officers. 5 years later, the advent of the D'Angelo Kenism and divisive approaches to discussing race have only expanded. I know this is a long article, but this is really important. The November 2021 Waukesha, Wisconsin vehicle ramming attack, occurring 1 day after the acquittal of Kyle Rittenhouse, appears to have been committed by a suspect who was both anti-Semitic and called for violence against white people, according to the New York Post headline. Today's journalists are fond of patting themselves on the back with glib tweets and snappy catchphrases like speaking truth to power. Except in many cases, those with the mainstream media are on the side of the ones with the power. That's right. They're pummeling opposition, people weaker than them, because they want power and control. They don't speak truth to power. They are the power. The example of Edwin R. Murrow's fast-based critique opposite Joseph McCarthy's baseless allegations on CBS is the most currently relevant today. While today's crop of blue-check journalists with snarky social media posts may see themselves as the inheritors of the Murrow's legacy, he would be ashamed of all of them. Many are, in fact, more akin to McCarthy and his unverified, politically motivated allegations. That's right. Now, can you imagine back in the 50s if Joseph McCarthy ran the media? Can you imagine what the country would be like now? Why is journalism so trusted in the mid-20th century compared with today? The trusted journalists embrace a nonpartisan objectivity. One is disingenuously scorned by partisan media personalities today. Yeah, they actually scorn being bipartisan, or nonpartisan is probably more accurate. People like Jake Tapper, Leslie Holt as both sidesing. It's disgusting. You want to have an opinion piece or run an editorial and opinion, go ahead. But don't pretend it's journalism. It's gotten way out of control. I remember Watergate. I was in high school. And I remember how it ripped the country up. It took a while to come back. It caused a lot of harm. And the medias took off from there. And all they played is gotcha media. Accusations. Now with social media and the internet, it's become an art form. You'll see in the last paragraph here why they do it and where it comes from. The scorched approach towards demonizing one's opponent has shown time and time again to be destructive. In the last few years, Nick Sandmann, Ben Shapiro, Cal Rittenhouse have been media targets in a process that not only evokes McCarthy's witch hunts, but also one of Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals. And here it is. This is what this is. And don't think for a minute they don't know that. Pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. Cut off the support network and isolate the target from sympathy. Go after people, not institutions. People hurt faster than institutions. And that's what they do. Look up Saul Alinsky, the socialist, radical, communist. One might expect McCarthyism to have much in common with the approach of Saul Alinsky, who was in part of the New Left in the 60s and 70s, but yet both, the Wisconsin senator and the Chicago organizer's tactics, invoked the destruction of the individual in favor of an alleged greater good. If the lessons immortalized by the plays The Crucible and Inherit the Wind are ultimately forgotten, America will stand to inherit the whirlwind of mass hysteria and personal destruction wrought by today's social media landscape. Now, I say for corrections, please email, but you can go on timcast.com. If you want to give this writer an attaboy, I'm going to read that highlighted part again. Think about social media now, even whether you're Donald Trump or whether you're just some guy like me with a little YouTube channel. You pick the target, you freeze it, you personalize it, and polarize it. Cut off the support network and isolate the target from sympathy. Go after people, not institutions. People hurt faster than institutions. And that's the truth. History repeats itself over and over and over and over. And here we are, the modern version of McCarthyism. And can you imagine the damage he could have caused with the internet and cable news that they didn't have at the time? It was a big deal and caused a tremendous amount of harm and ruined hundreds and hundreds of lives. Some people even committed suicide because they were blackballed in Hollywood because of it. It would be 1,000 times worse. The power of the internet, the power of telling a lie over and over and over and over and having the platform to promote that lie with impunity and no evidence is powerful. Powerful. And most people are sheep. It's just the way it is, whether it's 1,000 years ago or 1,000 years from now. Think about that. All you people that hated Donald Trump or any other person that got demonized. Think about that. That kid, Rittenhouse, Sandmann. Oh, the list is endless. People have lost their jobs because they were torn to pieces on Twitter. And their bosses were afraid that the local progressive group would boycott their business and fired the person and ruin their lives by the tens of thousands. Think about that for a minute. Until the next time, goodbye and good luck.